fourth generation Ford Focus Estate gets more boot space, sleeker looks, a more user-friendly interior, more efficient engines, and some suspension tweaks that aim to remind us what made the Focus great in the first place. It's not the biggest car or the cheapest estate in its sector, but it might just be the most appealing all-rounder.
Ford's Focus is best known as a family hatch, but if you need a little added practicality, it's this estate version that'll suit you best. Here's the much improved fourth generation version. Such is the pull of small SUVs that the small estate car seems to have had its last rites read time and again. Yet still the compact station wagon struggles on. Models like this are still around because they're a good idea. What's more, if people were honest about why they really needed a vehicle, a family hatch-based estate car would often make more practical sense than an equivalently sized crossover. After all, a traditional station wagon can carry just as much as many SUVs, yet will be better to drive, lighter and more aerodynamic, which means better efficiency. And a family hatch-based estate will almost certainly be cheaper to buy too. Ford's brought us some brilliant estates down the years, but as much as customers have warmed to the Focus hatch, the five-door estate has never occupied a huge slice of the overall Focus sales pie chart. Perhaps this current version can formulate a more convincing argument. It gets an all-new C2 platform that enables a longer wheelbase, that for the first time allows this car to offer properly class-competitive rear seat room and luggage space. There's up to 728 litres of it this time round. You can also now choose this SUV-orientated active trim level, which makes a bit more of a lifestyle statement and offers some useful low-traction driving modes. Much has changed beneath the bonnet too, with clever cylinder deactivation for the petrol models and the all-new 1.5-litre three-cylinder petrol unit we first saw in the Fiesta ST. The diesel engines have been redesigned too, as has the much higher quality cabin, which features half the number of previous buttons. On top of all that, the brand claims class-leading camera-driven safety standards too. This car does, in short, promise the kind of significant step forward that'll be absolutely necessary if Ford's to retain its place amongst the sales leaders in this segment. Time to put this Focus estate to the test. Usually, estate cars share exactly the same mechanical configuration as the hatches or saloons they're based upon. With this Focus station wagon, things are a little different. Ford having standardised the supple, independent rear suspension configuration that you can't have on the volume 1-litre petrol and 1.5-litre diesel hatch variants, the ones the vast majority of customers will choose. That makes quite a lot of difference to the ride of this car over poor surfaces. What hasn't changed over the hatch is this car's class-leading handling prowess. True, estate buyers don't usually want to throw their cars around too much, but even these people will enjoy the confidence you get in this car at speed, particularly when cornering in slippery conditions. The driving position, the feedback through the wheel, and in particular the way the car responds as you throw it into a turn, all these things continue to set this car apart in its sector and are aided further by this Mark IV model's stiffer C2 chassis and a very effective torque vectoring system that helps to get power down through the bends. There's still nothing else in this class that feels quite the same. Get out of one of these, then go and drive a rival Astra or a Golf estate. We think you'll find that it'll feel a little dull by comparison. Yet this Focus also does the sensible stuff well too, being decently refined with confident braking and a lovely tactile gear shift. Efficiency's up to scratch even if you select one of the mainstream petrol engines, all of which are 3 cylinders in size. Most tend to go for the 1-litre EcoBoost petrol unit offered with either 85, 100 or 125 PS. All can be pretty frugal, providing you select the most frugal of the 3 provided standard driving modes. Eco, normal and sport settings are also available. The quicker power plants can be ordered with the option of Ford's latest 8-speed auto gearbox, as can the two 150 PS engines, the 1.5-litre EcoBoost petrol and the 2-litre EcoBlue diesel unit we're trying here, which can tow up to 1.8 tonnes. There's also an ST estate model offering the choice of either a 280 PS 2.3-litre EcoBoost petrol engine or a 190 PS 2-litre EcoBlue diesel. Whatever engine you choose beneath the bonnet, you'll want to get to grips with Ford's standard drive mode system to get the most from it. This borrows the kind of technology we've long seen on premium badge models in this segment, using normal, sport and eco settings to alter steering feel, throttle response and, on auto variants, gear shift timings to suit the way you want to drive. An active focus estate variant like this one also adds in extra slippery and trail modes for greater low traction prowess. If you take up the option that upmarket variants will offer of continuously controlled damping for the suspension, you'll also get an extra comfort and eco-comfort driving modes. Paying the extra for that adaptive damping system is probably unnecessary, unless perhaps you've opted for the sporty ST line trim level, which has mandatory stiffened sport suspension. Like its hatch stablemate, this fourth generation Focus Estate has matured in almost every way. It's taller and longer than its predecessor, being nearly 1.5 metres high and stretching to nearly 4.7 metres in length, with a rear overhang almost a foot longer than that of the equivalent hatch model. As with that body shape, the wheels of this Mark IV model are further apart and the glass area is larger. All of this part of the brand's current human-centric design philosophy. Time to take a seat up front. Behind the wheel, Ford hopes you'll find the ambience of this fourth generation model much more inviting. To that end, the dashboard has been pulled forward and there's a slimmer lower centre console. Plus, that new body shell has freed up more room for shoulders and knees. As a result, you no longer feel quite so hemmed in at the wheel, but by the same token, there's also slightly less of the cockpit-style positioning that we rather liked before. You can't fault the cleaner, sharper ergonomics though, aided by a massive 50% reduction in button clutter, with as many functions as possible relocated to this prominent Sync 3 infotainment screen that, in keeping with current automotive fashion, sprouts from the top of the dash. If you're not familiar with the Sync package, it doesn't take long to adjust to it, with the central dash monitor divided into sectors that allow you to activate audio, phone and sat-nav functions via touchscreen icons. Heating and ventilation is, thankfully, covered off by separate switchgear further down the centre stack, which is just as well, since the display icons on the monitor can be a little fiddly to use, despite the inclusion of smartphone-style pinch and swipe functionality. Instead of stabbing away at the screen graphics, it's better to try and master the system's impressive voice-activated functionality that allows you to issue simple one-shot commands, simply by saying phrases like, "I need a coffee," "I need petrol," or "I need to park." You can easily locate nearby cafes, petrol stations or car parks and find destinations like train stations, airports and hotels. This plusher Active X model also includes as standard a clever Ford Pass Connect package that offers live traffic updates and Wi-Fi connectivity via a built-in modem. It's an option worth having on the lesser version. Ford hopes you'll find the ambience of this fourth generation Focus model more inviting. To that end, the dashboard has been pulled forward and there's a slim, quite low-set centre console. Plus, the redesigned body shell has freed up more room for shoulders and knees. As a result, the cabin has a surprisingly spacious feel, something probably helped by this Mark IV Focus design's massive 50% reduction in button clutter. Quality's taken a decent step forward too, with smart metallic highlights and soft touch materials covering most of the higher surface areas, while hard, scratchier panels are generally banished to lower areas you'll rarely touch. Flock-lined storage areas, this smart concertina ring storage tray lid between the seats, an electronic handbrake, and this neat circular auto gearbox controller also aim to push this cabin up market a bit. Despite all of Ford's efforts though, you still wouldn't quite think you were in a Volkswagen Group product. It's just a few little touches that make the difference. Would you get fake door stitching or a centre console box fashioned from a cheap plastic moulding in a Golf? We think not. What else? Well, the ergonomics are difficult to fault. Throughout Focus model history, Ford's always tried hard to ensure that it's a car that can be comfortably driven by almost anyone of any size. True to form, this version feels right from the moment you get behind the wheel, thanks to near-perfect driver positioning and supportive bolstering on a driver's seat that on this top variant gets part leather trim and 6-way electric adjustment. It positions you perfectly in front of an instrument binnacle that's clear and concise enough to make unnecessary the optional head-up display we're trying here. Frontward visibility is aided by thin A-pillars and properly placed pedals. And rearward vision's pretty uncluttered too, which is just as well because parking sensors cost extra on the standard model. Most owners will option them in as part of a convenience pack, which also includes a rear wide view camera and an active park assist system that'll steer you into tight spaces. The more we've lived with this car, the more we've appreciated the little touches that Ford has thought so much about with this fourth generation Focus design. The optional B&O Play 10-speaker audio system we're trying here is a great addition to the range, but less obvious things have also contributed much to our enjoyment of this model. For example, all Focus Active variants include important features that you'd probably have to pay extra for on rival cars in this segment. Things like driver's seat lumbar adjustment and a quick clear heated windscreen for frosty mornings. You also get an electronic handbrake, not our favourite modern era automotive development, but one that does undeniably free up a useful amount of extra cabin stowage space between the seats. In this area, there's a coin tray behind the handbrake switch, and forward of that are a couple of cup holders. While we're talking cabin storage, we'll tell you that the door pockets are a touch on the small side, but you do get an overhead compartment for your sunglasses, a further cubby by the driver's right knee, and a storage area at the base of the centre stack that includes USB and 12-volt ports, plus an optional wireless phone charging mat. The lidded storage bin between the seats we referred to earlier includes a lift-out tray, a pen clip and a USB port. Illuminated vanity mirrors are built into both sun visors, as are ticket clips. You get a reasonably sized glove box too, though unfortunately this area can't be cooled. Let's try the rear seat. And one of the most important things about this fourth generation Focus is the way that its longer C2 platform has so much improved space in the back. The space on offer here certainly doesn't redefine what the family hatchback segment can offer, but it does at least now typify it. In a Focus, backseat folk are these days now much treated as they would be in a rival Golf, thanks to more room for knees, legs and shoulders. Plus, there's decent foot space beneath the front seats. We've appreciated the improvement in rear sideward visibility too, achieved thanks to a repositioning of the C-pillar. We also approve of this low centre transmission tunnel, though a centre-seated adult will still be as relatively uncomfortable on longer trips as he or she would normally be in such a position in a car of this class. What else? Well, you get decently sized rear door pockets, outer ISOFIX child seat attachments, netted seat back storage areas and a centre 12-volt port, though a USB point would arguably be more useful. The larger expanse of side window glass makes this part of the cabin feel airier too, something further emphasised on this plusher Active X variant by the inclusion of a large panoramic glass roof, though this feature does reduce the otherwise very acceptable headroom levels by a few inches. Let's finish by taking a look in the cargo area. Pausing on the way in pulling out these wide opening doors to notice these neat optional door edge protectors that pop out to prevent car park dings. And the easy fuel filler neck designed as usual on Ford cars to make it impossible for you to inadvertently put diesel into a petrol model or vice versa. Here we've got the optional hands-free tailgate fitted, one of those that can rise with a wave of your foot beneath the bumper if, key in pocket, you're approaching the car laden down with bags. Now, in a typical estate variant fitted with the usual mini spare wheel, it rises to reveal 575 litres of space if you load to the level of the tonneau cover, or 728 litres if you load to the roof. That's quite a big increase on the figures you'd get in a Focus hatch: 341 litres loaded to the parcel shelf and 443 litres loaded to the roof. The extra 43mm of roof height added to this generation Focus estate model was incorporated with an eye to allowing owners to comfortably accommodate a standard-sized dog crate if need be. Whatever body style you choose, you'll find that this area is practically sized and accessed via a low-ish loading lip. There are the usual couple of bag hooks and, as expected, 4 tie-down points. This simple pull strap release pulls up the boot floor, beneath which there's space to store the tonneau cover when not in use. And normally on a Focus estate, there'd be an adjustable height boot floor. It's optional on the hatch model. However, you can't have that if you've specified either a full-size spare wheel or the B&O audio system. Should you go for that desirable stereo package, as we have here, you'll find that its subwoofer takes up most of the space beneath the cargo area base, hence a reduction in boot capacity. There's 34 litres less of it in a B&O spec estate like this one. Plusher Focus models like the Vignale variants have a ski hatch for the easier carriage of longer items, but the Focus Active designers have missed a trick here by not including it with either body style. So you'll be a bit stuck if you don't have roof cross rails and want to try and emulate the brochure pictures by carrying your surfboard to a deserted sandy Cornish cove. Nor is there the option of a 40-20-40 rear seatback split that would also help you in that regard. If you need more room and want to push forward the 60-40 split rear bench, then if you load to the roof, between 1,576 and 1,620 litres of space can be freed up in this estate model, depending on whether you specified that B&O system. For the equivalent hatch version, the figures would vary between 1,250 and 1,320 litres. This estate body style makes up 11% of total Focus sales and attracts a premium of £1,100 over the equivalent hatch. That means starting prices beginning from around £19,500 and ranging up to around £31,000. An 8-speed automatic gearbox is an option across virtually the whole range for an extra £1,450. Ford claims to have reduced the number of orderable Focus configurations by 92% this time round, but the vast model lineup still takes a bit of getting your head around. Basically, in the mainstream range, there are a couple of budget-minded model lines, Style and Z-Tech. Then 3 luxury-orientated variants, Titanium, the Titanium X version and Top Vignale, along with a couple of sporty models, ST Line and ST Line X. Plus, there's this lifestyle-orientated Active model offered in Active and Active X guises. And you can ask your dealer about a road-burning ST Fast Estate derivative too. With the Focus hatch, the brand's more sophisticated independent rear suspension setup is limited to models with engines putting out 150 PS or more. But with this estate, the uprated damping setup is included with all engines. In the petrol range, these include 85, 100 and 125 PS versions of Ford's usual 3-cylinder 1-litre EcoBoost power plant and 150 and 182 PS versions of the 4-cylinder 1.5-litre EcoBoost unit. There's also a 280 PS 2.3 litre EcoBoost option in the top ST version. In the diesel range, there's a 1.5 litre EcoBlue engine with either 90 or 120 PS, or the 2 litre EcoBlue option we've got here, offered with either 150 or 190 PS. Amongst key comparably priced rivals, you'll probably pay a fraction less for estate versions of cars like the Vauxhall Astra, the Renault Megane Sport Tourer, the Skoda Octavia, the Seat Leon, the Hyundai i30 or the Kia Ceed. But probably little more for estate versions of cars like the Peugeot 308 and the Volkswagen Golf. As for equipment, well, all Focus estates get standard features like manual air conditioning, a dual-height boot floor, auto headlamps and selectable drive modes that alter steering feel, throttle response, and, on auto variants, gear shift timings too. Avoid bass trim, and you'll also get Ford's latest Sync 3 infotainment technology, which includes Apple CarPlay and Android Auto smartphone mirroring, and works with a floating 6.5-inch colour screen mounted on top of the dash that can be upgraded to an 8-inch screen if you pay extra for navigation or get a plusher model which has it fitted. This bigger screen can also include the clever Ford Pass Connect package that gives you onboard Wi-Fi and live traffic information. OK, enough with the general spec. Let's move on to take a look at this car's safety provision and decide whether there's any substance to Ford's claim that this car leads its class in this regard. Potentially, this Focus can be fitted out with 3 radars, 2 cameras and a 12 ultrasonic sensors as part of a package of Ford Co-Pilot 360 technologies to enhance protection, driving and parking. Perhaps the most significant item here is the autonomous emergency braking setup. Ford calls its system pre-collision assist with pedestrian detection. As usual with these kinds of setups, this one works as you drive to scan the road ahead for potential collision hazards, with a particular focus on pedestrians. It even works at night. If something you might be about to hit is detected, you'll be warned. If you don't respond or aren't able to, then the brakes will automatically be applied to decrease the severity of any resulting accident. Should you still manage to have a collision, a post-collision braking system automatically applies the brakes to try to help avoid the car spinning off to hit something else. There's also a lane-keeping alert system that warns you if you veer out of lane, and a lane-keeping aid that will automatically steer you gently back to where you should be. And Ford provides an intelligent speed assist speed limiter to help you keep safe and legal through urban areas. In addition, the Sync 3 infotainment package includes an emergency assist feature that will automatically alert the emergency services if the airbags go off in an accident. What else? Well, as you'd expect in this day and age, all models include ESP stability control, traction control and an ABS braking system with EBA or emergency brake assist for panic stops. There are also the usual twin front, side and curtain airbags. Take all of these many and varied safety features into account and you'll not be surprised to hear that this 4th generation Focus design achieved a full house 5-star overall safety rating from Euro NCAP, who specifically gave it a very creditable 85% rating for adult occupant protection and an 87% rating for child occupant protection. If you still want to go further, as an extra option on most models, it's also possible to order a blind spot information system with cross-traffic alert setup. This works on the move to warn you if you're about to pull out to overtake when there's a vehicle in your blind spot. And it also warns you of oncoming traffic when you're reversing out of a parking space. Go for this package on a standard active model and you'll get power folding mirrors too. We'd also recommend that you take a look at the optional driver assistance pack we've been trying here, where the key feature is an adaptive cruise control setup, which not only automatically keeps you a safe distance from the car in front on the highway, but on auto models also includes lane centering assist that'll subtly apply steering correction to keep you in the centre of your lane. This is about the closest this Focus can get to autonomous driving tech. That driver assistance pack also includes various other camera-driven features. Driver Alert, which monitors your driving reactions for drowsiness. Evasive Steering Assist, which helps drivers steer around stopped or slower vehicles to help avoid collisions. Auto High Beam, which automatically dips your headlights at night in the face of oncoming traffic. And Traffic Sign Recognition, which reads speed signs, displaying them on the dash as you pass. That speed sign information can then combine with navigation data so that the intelligent speed assist speed limiter we mentioned earlier can be programmed to automatically set itself whenever you enter a speed limited zone, not allowing you to exceed the legal figure. That way, you should never get a speeding ticket ever again, in theory anyway. Don't you just love technology? It's obviously crucial for Ford to get its cost of ownership sums right, hence the changes made to the engineering of this fourth generation Focus estate that see improvements of up to 10% in fuel efficiency across the range. Key factors in achieving this lie with the introduction of the more frugal EcoBlue engine series and with the introduction of cylinder deactivation technology on the 3-cylinder petrol power plants that the majority of buyers will probably choose. Anyway, let's get to the figures, which as usual we'll quote using WLTP measurement for fuel and NEDC2 measurement for CO2, in line with current industry practice. Bear in mind with all the engines that if you choose the optional 8-speed auto gearbox, you'll hit your efficiency readings by around 10%, which isn't the case if you go for a Volkswagen Group model with DSG auto transmission. The 1-litre EcoBoost petrol unit that most will choose comes in 3 forms with 85, 100 and 125 PS, all of which return up to 48.7 mpg on the combined cycle with respective CO2 readings of 110, 107 and 108 grams per kilometre. For the 1.5-litre EcoBoost petrol engine, the figures are up to 45.6 mpg and up to 125 grams per kilometre of CO2. Or 42.8 mpg and up to 129 grams per kilometre of CO2 for this engine in its uprated 182 PS state of tune. What about the diesels? Well, for the 1.5 EcoBlue unit in its base 95 PS state of tune, you're looking at up to 62.8 mpg on the combined cycle and up to 96 grams per kilometre of CO2, or up to 61.4 mpg and up to 97 grams per kilometre with this engine in its 120 PS state of tune. For completion, we'll also give you the figures for the 2-litre EcoBlue diesel variant we're trying here, up to 56.5 mpg and up to 117 grams per kilometre. These are very class competitive figures, and a major factor in achieving them has been the important enhancements in engine technology that Ford's introduced into this 4th generation Focus design. A key development has been the introduction of cylinder deactivation technology on the 3-cylinder, 1-litre petrol power plant that many Focus active buyers will probably choose. You might be familiar with this sort of thing from larger engines, but if you're not, we'll tell you that at less than 50% throttle and between 1500 and 4500 RPM, one cylinder is shut off, improving fuel consumption, so Ford says, by as much as 6%. The system can disengage or re-engage the cylinder in question, the middle one, in just 14 milliseconds, 20 times faster than the blink of an eye. And the transition, either way, is so seamless you won't feel or hear it. We couldn't anyway. Added to that are the efficiency benefits that come with design improvements like sleeker bodywork, a best-in-class 0.25 CD drag factor, air curtain technology to reduce turbulence around the wheels, a new C2 platform that on its own saves 88 kilos of weight, and an engine start-stop system. Whatever Focus derivative you decide upon, it's reasonable to wonder whether these quoted returns are really achievable in real-world everyday motoring. We raise this issue because some have doubted this point, and it's certainly true that the 1 1-litre T EcoBoost power plant requires a more efficiency-orientated driving approach if you're to get close to the running costs returns it's supposed to be able to achieve. Fortunately, Ford's technology aids you here. The standard drive mode system includes an eco setting which adjusts the throttle and engine settings to give the best economy possible. Also helping is an active grille shutter which sees slats in the front grille remaining closed at startup so the power plant can more quickly warm up to its optimum operating temperature. On the move, the flaps can open or shut for optimum aerodynamic efficiency. What else? Well, we'll tell you about servicing, which on all engines is required every 2 years or 18,000 miles, whichever comes first. 2 prepaid servicing plans are available, one that costs £340 and covers you for 2 years and 2 services, and another that costs £550, is transferable to future owners and covers 3 years and 3 services. Maintenance bookings can be done online through the My Ford portal. This is part of the Ford Blue Service scheme that wraps up all of the care and maintenance of your car into one bundle that includes a free 30-point e-check of vital parts and highlights any work required with a red, amber and green traffic light warning to rank items that need attention in order of importance. There's also the Ford Service app that you can download to your phone for free. It lets you locate your nearest dealer and make a booking, plus has a couple of extra elements allowing you to find petrol stations and including a Park Me feature that remembers where you left your Focus so you won't have to hunt for it, say in a busy multi-storey car park. As for the warranty, well, like all Fords, this one comes with a 36-month, 60,000-mile package that also includes 1 year of Europe-wide breakdown assistance. On top of that, there's an anti-corrosion guarantee for 12 years. Ford also offers the chance to extend this cover to either 4 years and 80,000 miles or 5 years and 100,000 miles. On to insurance. If you're looking at the 1-litre EcoBoost petrol unit, a base 85 PS model is rated at Group 5E, but the 100 PS version of this engine you're more likely to go for is rated at Group 8E. For this engine in the 125 PS form we're trying here, groupings range between 12E, 13E and 14E, depending on the trim level you select. The alternative 1.5-litre EcoBlue diesel is rated at Group 12E or 13E in its base 95 PS form, or Group 14E, 125E or 16E depending on spec, if you go for it in 120 PS, guys. What about if you want a more powerful mainstream Focus model? Well, the 1.5-litre EcoBoost 150 PS petrol unit we'd recommend is rated at Group 16E or 18E in Vignale trim. For the 182 PS version of this 1.5-litre petrol unit, it's 18E. And finally, the 2-litre EcoBlue diesel is rated at Group 18E or 20E in Vignale spec. Finally, let's consider the question of residual values. This area has never been a Focus strength, but experts predict that this Mark IV model will perform much better than its predecessor. To be specific, after the usual 3-year, 36,000-mile period, a volume ST line 1-litre EcoBoost 125 PS variant should still be worth nearly 40% of what you originally paid for it, which, if achieved, would be a significant improvement on anything that the previous generation version of this car was able to manage. If you're looking for an estate car of this size, the fact remains that the Focus is one of the very best. It's not the biggest, and nor is it the cheapest, but as an all-rounder, it takes some beating. The smaller petrol and diesel engines are well worth a look, and in the shape of this active SUV-style variant, Ford offers a really complete product to family buyers. A properly focused estate, you might say. We're pleased that, unlike the hatch, buyers of the lower-powered estate models get Ford's more sophisticated control blade multi-link rear damping system. And the extra weight of the station wagon body style makes no difference to this Focus model's prowess as an entertainer at heart, a car you'll feel at one with thanks to its progressive body control and steering precision. As a result, it's still a default pick amongst small estates if you like your driving. But not everyone does. Many buyers in search of a compact estate are seeking a car of this kind simply because it ticks the right boxes for safety, practicality and running costs. We've a suspicion that it's these people who'll have their perceptions most changed by this much improved Mark IV model. They may, like us, wonder why it couldn't have been just a touch more visually interesting and wish for a slightly more classy cabin. But they'll certainly like the responsively frugal new generation engines, the higher safety standards, the improved quality, and the fact that at long last there's decent rear passenger and luggage space. In short, if you can afford the asking prices, you'll find that here's a compact estate that now has its priorities right. A car that's grown up, but one that still knows how to enjoy itself. We wonder just how many owners will ever discover that. And in summary, well, the estate car is quietly staging a revival, and models like this are the reason why. Maybe that's merely down to a backlash against suburban SUVs that once smacked of active lifestyles but now just scream shopping and school run. But we think it's equally true that the estate car has never been a more complete product. If the concept of a small station wagon seems to you a contradiction in terms, then this one might make you think again.